Welcome back to another episode of Friday Faves. It has been quite some time since our last episode as things have been very busy and frankly, I was running out of ideas. This edition of Not Enough Thumbs started out as a no commentary string of my favorite movies in their respective genres. At first my wife said, "No commentary?" And to our surprise, the first episode garnered several thousand views, a number we weren't used to seeing. Down the line, a few episodes were narrated, and the faves became a little more specific, from what I thought to be really moving scenes to great monologues. For a brief stint, I featured a few horror short films that I thought were really well done. So now, we're back at it again, and we're going to dig into the collection of Rurouni Kenshin. Not the animated series, but the live-action films. I didn't even know there was an animated series. A friend just told me about it, because they were a fan of Asian films. Generally speaking, I love watching international films in their own language. I'm not a fan of the dubbed versions. Back to Kenshin. I think samurai movies are awesome. Feel free to make fun of me in the comments after I spout off a few of my favorites. Kill Bill, The Last Samurai, and... Okay, so I had to look up the best samurai movies on the internet to make sure I wasn't missing any that I just wasn't remembering. It turns out I have my work cut out for me. What do I like about Kenshin films? The highlight of these is obviously all the katana-wielding action. It is simply fantastic. I wonder how long it took to shoot some of these scenes because so many angles are captured and there's just a whole lot of well-choreographed sequences. With fist-fighting scenes, you'll sometimes notice wild punches where the head is supposed to be the target, but it's just not. If it's poorly choreographed, it's a bore to watch because it just doesn't look like they're trying to hurt each other anymore. The attacks are very, very telegraphed. Off the top of my head, there's a little bit of this in the movie Bloodsport, though this definitely doesn't take away from its icon status across all genres, of course. In these Kenshin flicks, that is, if you can follow these really fast-paced fight sequences, there are clear attacks and clear defenses. Every swing is an attempt to hurt or kill. These films are packed with this craziness. One thing is clear, Kenshin is simply untouchable. This isn't to say he's completely invulnerable, because that would make the story less compelling otherwise, but the writers definitely conveyed that he was a highly skilled assassin. Now what about some of the other characters? Kenshin's story from darkness and guilt to contentment was fun to watch unfold. Sensuke, on the other hand, usually brought some laughs, whether it was that gigantic stick that he'd swing around or his eagerness to get into a fight or defend his friends. I mean, he was always ready to go, and he looked the part. I'm not sure if he ever showered or changed, because he always wore the same dirty clothes. The overall aesthetic of these movies is beautiful. The culture and geography add so much already. The winter snowy scenes are especially stunning. Lastly, if there's one thing I'm not a huge fan of in martial arts movies, it's the wire work and roof walking and flying. Thankfully, this was not a major component in these action scenes, and if there were any, it was subtle. I really have to emphasize how awesome the action was. Of course, in manga anime fashion, there were special attacks like the quick draw, or something style. And let's not forget the Naruto run. And we have to give credit to this one guy who would just not die. I think he was killed 5 times in one scene. It reminded me of the final scene in Halloween where Michael Myers kept coming back to life, or Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai where his persistence impressed his mentor. Go see these movies and I recommend seeing them in release order. Thanks for coming back to a long-awaited episode of Friday Faves. Share some of your own favorites and we'll talk about those too. And finally, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ding that notification bell. Until next time.